Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Casino, and this movie is directed by Martin Scorsese, and it came out in 1995, and stars Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, and Sharon Stone, and I loved this movie a lot. I thought it was really great, and it has a very similar structure to Goodfellas, and to some extent Wolf of Wall Street. It's kind of like a trilogy in ways, where it's basically the same story but told from a different perspective, whereas Goodfellas is the mafia, Casino is the casino business, and Wolf of Wall Street is Wall Street. And in terms of what this movie does to make it stand out, it's nothing in particular that is wildly different from those other two, but it has really great characters, really great performances, a story that's very interesting, and I really loved Robert De Niro in this movie. I thought he was great, and I always bought him in this role, and he's playing like the man who owns the casino business, and it's very complicated as to like what he's doing, and it's always engaging, and there is always something going on in the story or something going on with the characters, and because of that, it makes the pacing feel very brisk, and the movie never wastes any time. And every scene in this movie needs to be in here, and this movie is like 3 hours long, and somehow it doesn't feel bloated. And I also really loved Joe Pesci in the movie. He was pretty funny, and he plays kind of like a hothead, and it was pretty entertaining to watch, and he was also very funny in the movie as well. And I also liked Sharon Stone a lot in the movie as well. And her character, there's always something going on with her character, and it's not really something radically different in every scene, but you can tell that something's wrong here, and even though it is kind of the same thing over and over, it never feels as though the movie is getting repetitive. It just feels like things are getting worse with her, and at a certain point, you just can't really trust her anymore, and you start to realize that you're not doing too well, and her situation just gets worse and worse as the movie goes on. And it is also a movie that's like building up to like the greatest thing ever, and then a whole big spiral downwards, and it's one of those kind of stories, like a rise and fall, and it's always entertaining, and there's lots of really great scenes in the movie, and it's also a very soundtrack heavy movie from memory, and I don't remember every music choice that was in it, but I just noticed that there's a lot of songs in this movie, and it didn't feel distracting to me, and it always felt appropriate for me personally. And there's also a lot of narration in the movie, but it always feels integral. Like, it's not there to explain it to the audience as to, like, what's happening just in case you don't understand what's going on, but rather it's there to explain to the audience what is going on, because what's going on is very complicated, and they're just trying to make this kind of simple and easy to understand, and nothing's really glossed over, and they also use it as a means to make the movie move a lot faster, and like not have each of these scenes like explained to the main characters. Rather, it's just moving along, and the characters are moving along, and the narration is keeping you up to speed as to what's going on. And it always feels necessary whenever the narration comes back, and that's why it worked for me. There's also violence in this movie, and it's, for the most part, well done. One of my issues with the movie was that sometimes the characters would get shot and there was no blood. Like, sometimes a character would get shot in the head, but you didn't see a bullet hole in their heads, and that was a little distracting. And there are a lot of characters in this movie, and some characters get more development than others, but every character in this movie feels necessary to the story, and they each move the story forward, and none of them feel like, oh, they're just throwing in additional characters for the sake of having more characters. Everyone feels necessary in this movie, and thankfully it doesn't hurt the pacing at all, the fact that there are so many characters in this movie. And I did have one other issue with the movie, but I can't really get into that because I don't want to spoil anything. But overall, there isn't really a whole lot to complain about with this movie. And while you could complain that this movie is basically just a longer version of Goodfellas because it is the exact same story, basically, but told from a different perspective, while I did get a similar experience, I felt as though I was still getting something new from that. And there's more than enough to make this movie stand out as like its own thing, and even if there are some similarities, it never came across as distracting to me, and I was always with it, and overall there just wasn't really much that I had to complain about, and I would highly recommend that you check this movie out, and it's easily one of my favorite Scorsese movies. I think I like it better than Goodfellas. I'll have to watch The Irishman again just to make sure which one I like better, and I do think Taxi Driver and The Last Temptation of Christ are better than this movie, but I'll have to watch those movies again to see where this movie ranks for me. So definitely check this movie out once you get the chance, and with all that being said, I'm going to give Casino a 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Casino, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Gamers. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.